Fucking seriously? I missed that? Dude, that is like the easiest fucking squeeze. And I got really good, what I thought was really good whammy off of the first phrase. Man, that is fucking frustrating. Dude, I mean, I know my front end was shit, but give me a fucking break. There's just no fucking way! Fuck this song! Fucking finally! Man. I can't believe I did that execution on that last orange whammy. Seriously, that single pump on time is so burned into my fucking brain at this point from Act 1. And I just, like, that's just how this shit goes. You go through enough, I mean, I don't even want to know how fucking long I've been playing this garbage for, but you get into a spot with nerves and just, it's not like I haven't performed that properly on this pace before. It's just, at any point when you're under nerves like that, a synapse can just fire and completely screw you over. It's not even a hard act, it's just the pressure of all these squeezes in the same run. But anyway, total optimization be damned, just like one for the road. Very, very satisfied with this score. Especially not dropping ticks. I was trying to be very cautious of that in the solo, and I don't think I ever dropped one in the solo, so that was really nice. I really hate my solo method. It's very awkward. I use like an alternate tap. It just makes the whole second half of the solo very awkward, but somehow it just kept working, even though it felt like basically every time I was gonna miss. But yeah, most likely done with this. Can't imagine ever coming back, especially from the frustration of this grind. You've got to be fucking kidding me! Dude, I hate my hands so much. That hurts like such a fucking bitch. I cannot even describe. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. The very next run. What? Dude, this is seriously one of my best scores in this fucking game, period. And I just got that pace 2 fucking runs in a row. That, oh my god, that is so fucking insane. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, God. Holy shit, that fucking pit in my stomach after that last act choke, which of course was by 1 frame, seriously made me sick. This was 1 run later, but, you know, I split the recording after that run, and I took a quick walk around, just kind of decompressed for a minute, and like, oh my god, I felt so shitty after that. To make that up less than 5 minutes later, man, holy fuck. What an insane roller coaster of emotion that was. I actually had a frame of leniency on Act 3. First act looked frame perfect on both the front and back end, and I had no frames of leniency. I'm pretty sure this path is essentially doing that first act, at least in terms of frame data, twice, which is why I completely put this out of my head when I did that initial redo for 363.5. And they each have their own grievances. The first act, the whammy is harder. I mean, even that is... I mean, it's definitely harder because it's 2 Hopo whammies, and not only 2 Hopo whammies, but 2 orange Hopo whammies, which I'm making that distinction because you either have to slide your hand down significantly on the neck, or traditionally what I'm doing, activating that orange with my pinky, which timing that alongside a frame-perfect whammy is a very difficult and irritating execution, and you have to do it twice. The only consolation is that it's at the very beginning of the song, so for having any semblance of a chance at this path, you have to get very consistent with that execution. So the big con for Act 1 is the Hopo whammies. The pros for it are that, you know, again, it's at the very beginning of the song, you get tons of practice for it, but also the front and back end execution of this adjusted upper bound act is ideally much easier than the third act, at least on the front end. But I had to go through some major trials and tribulations to unfuck my extended hit window muscle memory because I was just red flaming that front end like 19 times out of 20. And I very, very recently started to undo that to make it like at least a coin flip. But yeah, I had huge struggles on that front end for, you know, essentially no reason other than the fact that the squeeze is so fucking hard that you essentially need a near perfect front end. So you almost can't even negotiate with it like that. Anyway, for the third act whammy, the first phrase should be very straightforward. Again, should be just like the first act front end should be straightforward. But for whatever reason, I found it very easy to hit that green too early, even though it's like the very standard max dynamic hit window early whammy setup that I should have ingrained in my fucking DNA at this point. But yeah, in theory, that should be easy and straightforward. The second phrase is more complicated by the fact that not only do you have to strum the hopos to unlock the whammies hit window earlier, but it's also just a little more intensive of a fretting pattern. Not really a big deal, and thankfully all of those whammies are short enough for a single pump, which is what I should be doing, though occasionally my muscle memory would just fail me or I would freak out for some reason, especially, you know, early on when I kept red flaming that first act over and over and was just surprised to get past the front end, let alone the whole first act in general. But yeah, the front end for the third act is definitely more difficult execution. I chose that spot just to make the back end on the same strum pattern as Act 2. Kind of worked against me, kind of didn't. the reason I initially chose that act spot for Act 2 when I first did this, I'm pretty sure, was, well, I guess there was a couple reasons. The first was to make the back end on the measure line to make it easier to remember. And the second reason was, I mean, delaying it past the first chord immediately following the sustain just makes sense to not risk dropping ticks and to make the execution slightly easier. But the other reason, besides ending it on the measure line, I delayed it another note, is to get myself in the rhythm of the strumming, which makes adjusting your timing for the squeeze, especially using extended hit window, a little more favorable. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is because on the Act 3 front end, again, kind of worked against me, kind of didn't. It didn't work against me. It was good because you can hit the chord at the end of the sustain very early because it's a max dynamic hit window on the front end. And so you have a little more time to set up to get in the zone, get focused for the front end. But again, the reason it worked against me is not only because I'm going against my muscle memory for Act 2 and 4, but I'm also, again, not really getting into the rhythm of the strumming. And Act 4, pretty straightforward, just replicated the front-end execution from Act 2. Again, that was something I did when I first did the song like a year ago. But as a result, that back end is a little more difficult to remember because it's different than Acts 2 and 3. And really what I mean by remember is to execute near frame perfect, because that just has to be very ingrained in your muscle memory. Wow, I had 3 frames of leniency on that last act back end. That had to be frame perfect. I activated the back end, so very lucky I didn't strum that too early. And again, that's a situation where strumming the preceding hopos can cause you to overstrum, so really irritating execution on that. But I am incredibly thankful again that the dark cloud from that frame unperfect last act choke isn't just hovering over me forever, because there's a very good chance I just didn't get this score in general. In terms of squeezes, the only other thing that I could see possible would be 200 on Act 2 by adjusting it back to the sustain like I initially did for Act 3, but in a TAS of Guitar Hero 2 Deluxe, which is where I tested the first act upper bound and third act upper bound, that was impossible. And even with hardware bias, it makes me think it's impossible because if I recall correctly, I was able to use the buffered first frame whammy mechanic on the second phrase yellow-orange whammy, since that GH2 Deluxe ISO was built into the PS2 engine, where that mechanic works differently. But even if it did work the same, there's no way I'd be able to actually execute that on here. So yeah, probably impossible. I actually just want to give it a couple attempts here after this. But even if it is possible, there's no fucking way I would ever be able to include it alongside these other squeezes. Yeah, this is just absolutely insane. I don't even know if that fourth act double is a 2 or 3 frame window. Just judging by the execution on this run, it looks like a 2 frame window, but I feel like I'm a little too consistent at it for that to be the case. And overall, just the way this grind went on this path is just bizarre because A, I didn't have any solo chokes, which I'm not particularly good at this solo. I believe in both of the previous runs on this pace, I just started strumming kind of erratically in solo B to prevent missing by anchoring stuff too early because of the awkward timing. Since the 363 510 run, I finally just grinded out the one-handed muscle memory. So yeah, no solo chokes is very surprising. And of the 3 runs that I had on this pace, 2 of them made it past the 4th act double, which is just like, what? And the first one that choked there could have had it. I just strummed the back end way too early, but I'm pretty sure the front end timing was good enough for it. And I wish it didn't happen at all, but thank God only that one last act choke, and thank God it was the next run that I finished this on. Again, this is a very upper echelon score.